Welcome back to Real Shit, where we like to talk real shit all day, every day, all for the love of movies. I am Joe. Before I get into it, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Any little bit of feedback or support would be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, I'm going to get right into it because today we have yet another example of Disney's greed. After I just made a video a couple weeks ago talking about how they were opening up their parks in the middle of a pandemic and not really taking into consideration the safety of their employees or the idea of their employees not feeling safe, and how the heiress of Disney was basically calling them out and saying, I don't necessarily think that this is a good idea, which was a greedy move in my opinion. I mean, at that point you're just trying to bring in revenue through the parks after 4 months of them being closed. But now comes news about Black Widow, which was to be the next entry in the MCU. And essentially what's going to happen now is that in November, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you will have access to Black Widow, but you will have to pay $30 additional to watch it. So this is kind of unprecedented. It's basically you have to pay the subscription fee to have Disney Plus to begin with, and then they're going to ask you to pay an additional $30 to actually watch the movie. And this is clearly in an attempt to make up for what they're losing by not releasing the movie at theaters. Now, there's been some mixed reactions to this. I've seen a lot of people say that it's worth it if you have a family, and that may be true. I don't know. I'm not looking at this from a family perspective personally, so that really doesn't apply to me. But if you do have a family, I guess you could justify it if you really wanted to, because if you were taking a whole family to the movies, you'd probably be spending the same amount or more, actually. So then we come to the other people on the other side of this equation. People like myself who go to the movies on our own. I go to the movies more so by myself than I do with other people. And that's not necessarily because I don't like going with people. It's just I go see a lot more movies than everyone else does. So for someone like me who just goes to movies by themselves and would probably watch this, well, I wouldn't watch this, but if I was going to watch this, I would watch it by myself. So I would have to pay the subscription fee to Disney Plus, and then I would have to pay the additional $30 to watch Black Widow. So we're looking at a $40, $45 price range just to watch this movie, if in fact I wanted to do so. That to me comes off as being greedy. It's a disservice to the fans of this franchise. I'm not one of them. I've already said that many times. I'm not a big MCU fan, so take that for what it's worth. But I think to the people who are fans of the MCU, I think it's kind of doing them a disservice, unless they're going to get a group of people together to pay for it or whatever the case may be and somehow justify it. But if you're just one person looking forward to this movie, I don't think that $30 is the right price point to be charging people to watch one movie. That's just me. It's coming off as greedy, to be quite honest. It's coming off of them attempting to make up for lost time and lost revenue because they haven't been able to put out any kind of movies, and theaters have been closed for months now, and they're trying to make up for it, and that's what it feels like to me. Moving on from that, just the actual idea of the movie itself, and this is where it may go into slight spoiler territory if you haven't seen all the MCU movies, which I'm sure most people have by this point. But just the fact that it's happening with this movie makes it all the more kind of ridiculous, in my personal opinion, because this is probably, a lot of them are, but this is probably the most needless MCU movie that they've made to date. I mean, this movie's coming already about 10 years too late, because that's when people were asking for a Black Widow movie. I don't necessarily know that anyone's asking for a Black Widow movie now, especially after what's happened to her character in the movies. Now, if you know what happened in the movies, then you'll understand what I just said, but it's too late. It's come to a point now where this character, no one's checking for this character, is basically what I'm getting at. And I don't know necessarily who's going to pay $30 to watch a prequel, and basically watch a movie in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean a thing as it pertains to the continuity of the MCU. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Now, me personally, I would never purchase Disney Plus subscription to begin with. I still haven't. I did watch The Mandalorian, but I watched it through other means, and I'm willing to admit that because I refuse to give Disney any more of my money. If I see any of their movies, it's usually due to a free ticket, or I have a subscription with Regal that basically allows me to watch unlimited amount of movies through a monthly fee. So that, to me, in that capacity, I'm able to watch movies basically for free. So me personally, being who I am and being how I feel about Disney, I wouldn't pay for a subscription fee. I wouldn't pay $30 to watch any movie, I don't think, on streaming, because not only is it at your home and it's on streaming, and like if I'm paying $30, I'm going to want an IMAX like experience when watching that movie, and you just can't get that at home. So I don't really see how this price point is justified. That's basically what it comes down to. I feel like it's being greedy. That's just how I feel. I mean, there's a certain air basically to, there's another kind of issue that's kind of arose now with the whole pandemic thing and how theaters have been closed, and it seems like there's a lot of people campaigning to just go right to video on demand. Video on demand works in some instances. I would say for your lower budget stuff, like maybe that's the better way to go. For things that don't necessarily need to be seen on screen, like Tenet has been delayed so many times now, but that's a movie that I want to see on the big screen. It's Christopher Nolan. It's kind of an event film. Like, that's something that I want to see in the theaters, and I think we should preserve the sanctity of watching movies in a theater, because I think that's an important part of the experience. It's one of my favorite parts of the experience. Like, there's just something about, in my opinion, going to a theater and watching a movie. I know some people don't agree. Some people will be perfectly fine just watching something at home. But the video on demand, the thing, has been like the battle cry for people who just want to watch movies. They're like, release everything on video on demand. And in most cases, I'd say that would work. But in this particular case, this is a step further than video on demand, because it's a subscription service and you're going to have to pay an additional fee on top of it. Like, that'd be like if Netflix released a new movie and had to charge you an extra additional fee to watch it. Like, no, everything on Netflix is included in the price. Like, that's why their price point keeps going up, is because they're including more and more original content on their streaming service. And it's just weird to me that Disney would take this route and basically try to have a video on demand feature within their streaming service. So it's like a streaming service within a streaming service. It's streaming service inception, basically, is what they're attempting to do here. So it's a little bit strange to me. I don't really understand why anyone would want to pay this. In my personal opinion, it's definitely not worth the price of $30 in addition to the fees. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. This is just how I feel about it. So yeah, let's continue discussion down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.